the meat.
Welcome back from the break. This is Mostly Superheroes. I'm your host, Logan, here with the Giggler. Back in the studio, have a jam-packed episode. Man, that first half heavy, and we're ready for our final review. That's right. It's time for the meat, the chunk, the sizzle. It's why you're here. It's why you came. It's why we're here. And it's what you want. Last week, we talked about a movie that came out in 2018 starring, I almost said Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock in the bust-out film Venom. Here we are 2.5 years later, 2021, and the release has happened. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the sequel. It's in theaters right now. It's only in sequels. This isn't a simul stream, which is happening in today's world. This is a world where sometimes the movies you wait for that come out in theaters are on your streaming box. This is not one of them. If you want to see it, you got to go out and see it. With that, let's go ahead and give that spoiler alert right now. We're talking about the film starring Tom Hardy, Woody Harrelson, and Andy?
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. Who else? Any other big names? I was trying to think if there's like, I was like, it is about like these two though. At the end of the day, Michelle Williams, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and Michelle Williams' boyfriend makes a comeback.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Scott.
Pete Scott. He's here.
Reed Scott. Naomi Harris is the Frances Barrison, the Cletus's
girlfriend.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. You got the cast, and folks, just gonna really get straight to it here. This movie, first of all, was really short. Came in about an hour and a half, and it felt like it was a quick story, a real quick hit. And because of that, I think we're going to be rushing through the story a bit of ourselves. You know, let's just get right into it. Andy, before we get into it, we saw this thing in theaters together. Marcus Warenberg Theaters. We had a crew, our buddy Chris, Casey, your lady, my lady, and went to Three Kings. Had some beers.
So good.
Had some apps. Got inside, had some popcorn. And we saw it on IMAX.
IMAX is just unreal. Thank you for getting me on that.
I told you.
It's worth the extra investment.
It is more money. There is no doubt. It definitely spikes up the price, but I mean, with the amount of real estate you get on the screen in a movie like this that's heavy on the special effects, it doesn't disappoint. You got the big noise, big movies, big sound, big picture. It's awesome. It's almost a little overwhelming sometimes.
I agree.
Like you really feel your seat like shaking.
Until like once you get like halfway through, you're just like used to it.
Yeah.
You're numb to it, but
yeah, totally, for sure. All right, before we get into it, tell me about the gut check, man. I want to hear about what you thought about this. For me, I feel like it was definitely, let's hear you first.
pretty much exactly like the first one.
Like what you predicted.
Yeah.
Remember what you said about it
last
last week?
Oh, yeah.
So we talked about Venom last week. You're like, I think it's going to be pretty much the same. Like lukewarm.
Was I wrong, though?
A story that you just kind of care about. And at the end of the day, for me, what saves it, Andy? The look and the feel of the Venom and the Carnage.
Correct.
Like, they look awesome. Whoever's making these creatures, kudos to you guys. Because this, like, the Venom looked, I'll give it this. The Venom in this movie looked 10 times better. Like, I mean, it would already look good in the first one. But this one, they get you, like, up close
So
and
much
personal.
more.
Yeah, more like walking around, like, not just the fight scenes that are so crazy looking. Well, let's go ahead and break down the story like we always do. Give this thing a review. I think we'll go pretty quick. Basically, we already gave that spoiler alert. The movie opens up revisiting Eddie Brock and Venom. So if you remember the last movie, they are still together. And in this movie, they pick right back up. They're at the shop, shopping around. They're at their house. The house is a mess. It's disgusting. There's chickens. There's holes in the ceiling from them jumping up, from Venom like cooking. They're on each other's last nerve. There are a couple of roommates that hate hanging out. And they're getting fed up with each other. And very quickly, in the beginning of the movie, Eddie Brock is like, he's doing okay in his career, but he's not like massive big like he was at the beginning of the first movie. And they drop you into the interview with Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson. Now, you'll remember you got this in the end credit scene of the first movie, right? Well, I'm convinced, Andy, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm convinced they reshot this scene in this movie. Because what I'm picking up on is Cletus Cassidy called Eddie in for this interview to share a story with him. And in the scene, his hair is totally different. It's not curly anymore. And he says a couple of the same lines. He says something like the same line that he says whenever Eddie Brock first gets there. He's like, Eddie Brock. He says like the same. I think he even says the Carnage line.
I think at first I didn't think it was the same, but now you're explaining it to me, and I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's meant to be
Like, this is the first time he's here. It's just kind of like, we're going to redo this one scene.
Yeah.
Which is silly, I think. But whatever. I think they just wanted to get rid of that curly hair.
Maybe.
I'm going to just say this, too, before we get too deep into it. This story is wild. Like, it's kind of loose. They play pretty fast and loose.
I just can't believe how short the movie was.
So quick.
Or why.
Yeah, let's get through it. Let's get through the story real quick. I'm going to, like, hyperspeed through this thing. So, Cletus Cassidy, he's getting the death sentence. He says, I want you to write my story. And if you do this, I'll give you the whole tell-all. And Eddie says, okay, what's your story? And it's some poem. The poem is for his ex-lover, who we meet in a flashback, opening scene of the movie, by the way, where Cletus Cassidy had a girlfriend that also was like a meta. She's a meta. And like a enhanced individual. And she can like scream really loud. And they're in love back in this like young days, prison days, right? These two have been in prison for like, 25 years or something. And they fell in love early on. They got separated when they were like 20s or so. And this present day, Cletus Cassidy is trying to get a message to her to say like, I love you or whatever. He's got the death sentence coming up. It's right around the corner. It's only a few days away. And he's trying to just get it all out before he dies. What does Eddie Brock do? Well, he goes and does the interview. He takes the poem. He's mad. He's like, that's all I get? I thought you were going to tell me the tell-all to, like, share your story. And he's mad. And Venom reveals a lot more superpowers in this one. He's not just sticky. He has, like, super reading. He has, like,
photogenic memory.
Yeah, photogenic memory. Glances into Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy's room, and, like, sees some drawing and deducts from what he sees. He figures out, he's like, Eddie, well, they go back and you learn more powers. Not only does he have photogenic memory,
he can draw.
He can draw. He's got a really good steady hand. And he draws kind of like all sorts of things. You get like some detective work from Venom. Eddie doesn't have to do really anything. And Venom shows him, he's like, look, this is where the bodies are hidden. So they find all the bodies without even having to go back to Cletus Cassidy. So he's now scorned Cletus Cassidy. And he's so mad because he's like, this guy Eddie Brock just ripped me off. But it puts Eddie Brock on the map. He's like the most famous reporter of all time now. He solved the big thing.
But he cuts his ties with the detective Mulligan
he burned that bridge too.
Yeah.
Because that detective Mulligan.
He was supposed to give him any leads, and he basically just took all the credit for this. It went kind of rogue.
Yes.
But they already had a bad relationship, so I guess that's no surprise.
Yeah, that was a weird part too, where it's like the detective's like, "Don't hold out on me," and Eddie's like, "I won't," and then he does.
Well, that's the important part we shouldn't miss from the opening scene is when the
young cop.
Yeah, he thought that he murdered Cletus's girlfriend.
That's such a big part, right? Cletus's girlfriend almost escapes from this van, like being like transferred when she's being transferred away from Cletus. She's in a van, and the young cop in the flashback shoots, and it's like, okay, she's presumably dead. Well, it turns out she's actually being kept at some like, meta prison.
Yep.
Like in a glass cage, present day. And she also has like a TV, so she can watch the news.
Could be mutants. I don't know. I think they said something about a mutation in the beginning.
Is this how they do it?
Yeah.
We'll see.
No.
We'll see.
I wouldn't think so, but you never know.
You never know. All right. So before, on the day of Cletus Cassidy's death sentence, Eddie goes to see him one last time. Basically, like out of guilt or something, or like he calls him there. He's like, come see me or something like this. He's like, all right.
He sent him the letter.
He sent him the letter, and Eddie's like,
written in his own blood.
Oh, yeah, and it had the dead spider on the back because he killed that spider.
Spiders. Weird.
And, yeah, right, exactly. And Eddie Brock is like, okay, I should go see him. It's his last day alive. I'll go do it. So he goes and sees him. He's in just a regular jail cell. And basically
just goads him into attacking him.
Yeah, he gets him all riled up. He gets Eddie, he attacks him personally, and when Eddie reaches through the bars and like is holding him, Cletus bites his hand really hard and gets his blood, and immediately can he can taste it, and he's like, "What's up with your blood? It's way different than everybody else's blood." Because I've tasted a lot of blood.
That is too much information, bro.
This is such a funny murder serial killer character because it's just Woody Harrelson being like a killer.
Yeah.
But anyway, he licks his lips, he looks on his finger, and the blood does like a little venom jump, and he swallows it.
I would have done the same.
I mean, in that situation.
I mean, what?
In that situation, in that situation, I mean, you're about to go under the needle.
What do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose? Is probably what he was thinking too. And I mean, I'm gonna get real lost in what. Oh well, I know what happens. Eddie goes back home. Him and Venom have it out. They like really start fighting. They're like, "I'm so tired of you. Like this place is a mess. I hate living with you. I don't have any peace." And basically, they separate from each other via like the smoke alarm. Like Eddie sets it off, and it like separates them. What does Venom do? He jumps out the window, and he just starts jumping from body to body, just being Venom on his own, killing.
Wrecked his TV and his bike.
Threw Eddie's TV out the window, wrecks the Ducati, just destroys it, and then he just jumps from place to place. He ends up going to a rave. Venom's at a rave. He gives a big speech. And then he like really gets sad. He's like, "I wish you were here to see me, Eddie." And like I was like, "Oh, jeez." Like I love Venom the character.
I agree. He's the best part of the movie.
Venom is the best part of the movie.
Okay. Halfway through the movie I was like, who voices Venom? And I
figured it
listened really closely and I was like, "Oh, that's Tom Hardy still."
Do you mean Bane?
Yes. Thank you. And I could not get it out of my head the rest of the movie. I was like, it's just Bane talking.
It almost went a little like I don't think it was that Bane-y in the first one, but in this one it got like
not.
very like it went Bane a little bit.
He talks so much more in this one. And I mean that's what was good about it. You got to see independent Venom kind of more by himself.
On his own.
Partying in a rave. That was so funny.
Leaving a trail of dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes to like a costume party. Everybody's like, "You got the best costume." And Eddie's just living the life. He's watching TV. He's feeling good until he sees on the news, flash over, the death sentence of Cletus Cassidy. They hit the button, the poison goes in, and then something happens, like pushes it out. He turns into a full-on red symbiote with like bigger than Venom, at least taller. Like a lot more like tools at his arsenal, like can really get really big and just like stretchy, busts right out of the prison, kills, leaves, immediately breaks out his girlfriend. And they go, and then we find out that her screaming power, of course, is like, can like mess up the Venoms and the symbiotes. What'd you think of this What'd you think of this big red Carnage?
I loved it. That was
all right. I'll give it up.
So cool looking.
I'll give it up. It did look good.
I wish it was just Carnage the whole time, but not really Woody Harrelson. I don't know why. I just didn't like his character very much.
It was just kind of
I don't even know why. Like I didn't care about his relationship with this girl. I don't know. I just didn't care about it.
Well, let's talk about why. What does he do? He grabs her and he says, "All right, you're with me now. We're together. We're just gonna do our thing." Oh, what's the big plan? What's the big evil plan, Andy? We're gonna get married.
Yeah.
Let's have a wedding.
Red wedding.
At the red wedding at this church. And they got this. They got a priest that they're holding captive. They kidnap Michelle Williams. So that's how they get Eddie and Venom to come. Eddie and Venom have to like have a big reconciliation. They get back together. You get a lot of Michelle Williams and that boyfriend. You get a lot of them in this one.
Oh, they're engaged now. Don't forget that.
They're engaged now. They're moving forward in their relationship.
Not a great week for Eddie.
Yeah, like what? Oh yeah, you get the big scene with her like breaking the news to him, and he's just all awkward as always.
Yeah, that was awkward.
He's sad. He's real sad. Jumping to the end here, but big fight scene between the two Venoms. I keep saying that, the two symbiotes. And there is something weird here about like Venom being like afraid. So you see this in the trailer. This is straight out of the trailer, but he goes like, "That's a red one. I don't want to fight that one." And then the red one, Carnage, is like, "Father, I need to kill you. One of us has to die." Like it's like he had a baby or something.
So I looked this up, and evidently in the comics, it was a known thing that like a offspring of like a symbiote is just automatically like more powerful than its like father, I guess, or whatever, for lack of a better word. So, and they can reproduce like asexually. So that's that was a quick Google search. So
I was like almost thinking, I was like, do we get out the Marvel Encyclopedia? I should have had that open to Carnage, I guess. But either way, I mean, that's a good indication of what we're dealing with. And then another weird thing is during the big fight at the church, I mean, a lot goes down. This fight sequence is really good. It goes all, you get your money's worth, at least in the fight scene. But like the road there and the why behind the backstory, like just kind of a weak villain story. Just like you just don't really, you're not that invested. It feels very, isolated stakes and like just stop this guy. But like the one part that I got confused and hung up on was they point out that Cletus and Carnage are not symbiotic. They're like, look, they're not symbiotic, and their bodies are like coming apart a little bit because he's trying to kill his girlfriend at the end because she's got the voice, and he's like, you know what, I'll just kill her. Carnage is like, I'll just kill her, and Woody Harrelson's like trying to get out, and I'm like, well, they are symbiotic though, otherwise like he would have died, right? Like, isn't that the whole thing? If you get a symbiote in you and it's not symbiotic, you're gonna die.
I thought he meant more just like they weren't
simpatico, like they weren't like on the same page.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was just more of that level. And then I called at the beginning that the girl was gonna be like the one with the voice would be the one that like broke up everything, but it didn't actually happen. They made it look like that was gonna happen, but then Venom ends up just they just take him down. What do they do? Like he jumps up from above. Like how does he kill him again? He like takes him down all the way to the church. I can't remember how he kills him.
Venom saved Eddie again by.
Oh, yes. He rips Carnage like away from Woody because they're crawling back because they got split up because of the big church bell ringing.
Yes.
So they're fighting. The church bell's ringing, and you get some of like Eddie versus Cletus like hand on hand, and like the symbiote's kind of just laying in a puddle of muck. But then it all comes to a head again.
He just eats him, right?
He just picks him up off the ground at the very end and chomps him. Just eats him right up.
Yum.
Just
Sloppy Joe's.
Just eats him like like Sloppy Joe's. It did look kind of like Sloppy Joe's, and it's like he basically eats it just like Woody Harrelson ate him. But is that the end of Carnage? Woody Harrelson dead?
Yeah, didn't he eat his head?
He ate his head off.
He ate his head off. Yeah.
And his girlfriend died, fell with the bell. She's done.
Yeah, and then we thought killed the detective,
but
with her sonic power. But he has like that weird eye twitched, like her eye, his eye like turned blue,
like he
opened or something. It looked kind of like hers. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, like what's going on with him now?
Not really sure.
I remember
that could be maybe just a seed for like
Venom 3.
Movie. I don't know.
Venom 3
There's
or something.
probably more symbiotes that are supposed to be in this realm other than Venom and Carnage. So could just be setting up the next one. Who knows?
All right, we'll talk about the end credit scene before we get there. That's the movie. Venom and Eddie basically live happily ever after, and they decide to take some time away, and they're going to go on a vacation. They end up like sitting at a beach somewhere, and they're planning their future. Like, what do we want to do? And they're kind of just off on their own, being nomads, and they're going to explore a little bit. That's how the movie ends.
Just buddies.
Right, I'll give it up. We got to rate this thing.
That was 100% my favorite part of the movie was just the like buddy cop feeling of I don't even know if that's the right term.
No, you're right. Buddy cop, kind of like
even though they broke up for like a little bit.
It's like a bromance movie. Yeah. Two guys, like two partners.
Venom was hilarious. Most of the things that came out of his mouth were super entertaining, but like you said, it was just like another just can't connect with the villain really, and it just kind of hurt the movie the whole time. Like they could have maybe added 15 more minutes to the beginning of maybe some backstory there, and
this is a quick hour and a half. It flies by.
Yeah, for sure.
And it feels like a weak story.
And unfortunately, everyone was probably in the back of their mind, just can't wait for this end credit scene anyways. But I was like, I'm gonna go in here, try to enjoy this movie the most I could, and it was just kind of like the first one.
I feel like we should rate it without talking about the end credit scene first, because I don't think it's fair to like just
okay,
because that'll drastically change my rating. Is all I'm saying.
You're right.
Here I'll go. I'm just gonna go first. Get it out of the way. This thing is a 2.6 for me. What about you?
2.8.
All right, there you have it. Yeah, not one that I probably need to rewatch all the time. If it was like you said, Andy, if it's on TV and I'm flipping through, yeah, sure, I'll stop. But I don't know if I'm seeking it out to. Definitely not going to pay to rent it. I'll wait until it's time to watch it. Overall, just kind of a weak story all over the place. Just not that invested, but it looked really cool. I'm here for the Venom. I'm here for Eddie Brock. I'm here for that whole relationship. I'm with you. I could watch them two do their whole thing the whole time. I thought Eddie Brock was miles better in this movie than he was the first one. Like, just from my own take, what does better mean? I don't even know. I just felt like he was really on. I felt like to be able to act those two characters out takes a lot of talent, and he's got it. But the Venom just looked cool. That's what saved it at the end of the day. All right, you ready to talk about it?
No, I'm gonna go home.
We just hit end right now. All right, there was a big question. First of all, how many in credit scenes? The answer is 1. So if you haven't seen this yet and you're still listening, you messed up. But there's 1. It's a mid-credit scene. And there was a lot of hype around this thing. It's something big. You don't know what it is. We made predictions. Mine was Spider-Man's coming in. We're connecting the MCU. Andy's was
Villains.
Sinister 6. We're not doing it yet. Andy, I'm going to pat myself on the back.
You win.
We're crossing over. This is happening. In credit scene, here it comes. Venom and Eddie Brock, one and the same, sitting in a hotel room, some beach somewhere. This is a pretty cool concept just in itself before we even get to the big reveal, right? Mm-hmm. Venom says, I'm like really old and I've traveled like most of space. And Eddie's like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm just saying that like I have a lot of information that you have no idea about. Is that if I showed you a fraction of it, it would cripple you. Like you would have no idea. And he says, and Eddie says, go ahead, show me. He says, all right, you sure? I'll show you just a little bit. And Eddie says, go ahead, let's do it. He goes, all right, brace yourself. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It goes from like nighttime to daytime. A big like switch in energy. Something happens. The room shifts.
Glitchy
glitch. And Eddie goes, what the hell was that? He's like, I didn't see anything. And you see on the TV in the background, and you start to hear it, Spider-Man. And
I just got chills again.
Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man Far From Home, the end credit scene. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Tom Holland's on the TV. He's in the spider suit. This is the MCU storyline with the Sony property Spider-Man. They're doing it. Venom looks at the TV and goes, who's that guy? And he gets out his big old tongue and he licks the screen with Peter Parker on it. Tom Holland, there it is. End credit ends. They're bringing the family together. Sony is doing it. This is what we've always wanted. This has been like, we hoped when the first movie came out that they're like, how are they going to incorporate this? It's happening. I'm saying it right now. Venom's going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
That's a big prediction.
I'm giving it up. It's true. You don't do that end credit scene with Tom Holland 2 months before the movie comes out. I'm telling you.
I hope you're right.
All right, tell me what you think. And how did you feel? What did you think when this was going down?
Oh, man. It got like a few seconds into it, and I realized when they switched the TV on, like when that happened, like what was about to go down, and like I like melted in my seat. I was so pumped. I still can't believe it.
I'm just sitting there. I go, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I like put my hand on Steph, and I was like, they're doing it.
That's what I said to Carrie. They're doing it.
They're doing it.
God love them for going to see all these movies with us.
But that's what we were talking about, like why Venom showed that reaction to seeing Spider-Man.
Yeah. What's that about?
I have a theory.
Tell me, please.
Well, obviously, they were just talking about the hive mind connection that through all the symbiotes that they are connected through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he might look similar to the Tobey Spider-Man that fought the Topher Grace Venom. So both of those symbiotes will be connected to that hive mind. So
oh my gosh,
he would be able to see that he looks familiar
from the hive mind.
Yeah.
They have hive minds.
That's what they were talking about. He said they're that connection, like that he was taking them down, like the years and years of connection. He said something about they have like a hive mind connection or something like that.
Oh wow, good job picking up on that. So it's like he's like, I know this guy somehow.
So yeah, exactly.
It's like I know him from something. And he definitely did, right? He licks that screen. I was like,
that supports your theory right there, because
I like it.
That would mean he's coming in sooner than later.
Yeah, I think he's got to be in the movie. If nothing else, just like end credit scene or like a small part or something. But like I just feel like it's all going down right now.
I hope.
It almost is strange because it's these are Sony properties we're talking about. And they lend this all out with an arrangement to Disney now, Marvel Studios. And, like, this is a Sony movie, but it's within the MCU. I mean, obviously, Doctor Strange is at the forefront. It's just interesting. You know, they're really making it into the Sony show, but I hope that it's how they're going to bring all these houses together just moving forward, I hope. I hope it's not just like this one-off thing that's like, okay, Venom did that crossover, then it's like, okay, back to our own stuff, which it might be because what I'm picturing now is like a vacation Eddie and Venom that left their multiverse and now they're in the MCU and they're like, all right, we got to do this, but then we got to get back because like their life is back there.
Yeah.
But is it? What do they actually have?
That's exactly what I'm thinking too.
Like the whole point of the end of the movie was let's just leave.
You straight up in another guy's hotel room.
Yeah, that guy's like, what are you doing in my room?
That's what we need to talk about. The timing of this. Like, when is this happening?
What do you think? Like, you're talking about when in the MCU?
Yes.
Because there could be a few things, right?
So, yeah.
Well, my prediction is it's definitely Doctor Strange. And
when he does the spell and fucks
when he does the spell in No Way Home, that's it. Because
I agree.
What's happening is it's pulling in all of the universal aspects connected to Spider-Man, just like into the Spider-Verse. And if what you just said is true, Venom having this weird memory of this other symbiote that fought against Sam Raimi's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it's like that pulled him into, which obviously he does get pulled in. But to your point, you asked about this. You were like, maybe it's the Loki event. Maybe it's the WandaVision event. Like, I'm trying to be a little
Can
vague.
they all be at the same time? I don't.
Or are all these happening at the same time?
It would make.
But, like, what a coincidence.
It would make sense for the Loki one. Like, I just don't know. Him going into the hive mind or whatever isn't what caused him to switch universes. It had to be
something else pulled him.
The rest of the whatever was going on outside of them.
Yeah, something pulled him in.
Or is everyone going to have, all the people are going to have like this one moment at the exact same time where something wild happens and they end up in another universe or something similar like that? I have no clue. But that's why I'm so jacked for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, because it's going to be pure madness.
It is. And
especially with this.
Yeah, and yeah, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is just going to continue on to that. It's like there's no end in sight, and it's so exciting. That's what I'm saying. I hope it's not just a stop-off for movies like Venom. I hope this is like bring everybody in and like let's just like keep it going, you know, because that's just what us nerds want.
Yep.
All right, man. Any final thoughts on Venom? Let There Be Carnage.
Nah.
That's about it. Yeah. I'm not going to call it a must-watch.
Credit scene.
What we say, 2.6, 2.8.
Credit scene is worth the price of admission, even for a $17 IMAX ticket. So
yeah,
if you got, all I'll say to that.
If you got friends that are like on the fence about seeing it, but if they're fans of the MCU, you tell them to go see it, and you tell them to sit their butt down and wait for the end credit scene.
How hard is that to tell people though? That like a lot of people I think are on the fence about seeing this movie, but if you tell them hey, there's a credit scene that you're gonna really want to, like the hardcore MCU fans that might not be down for this, but it's really
not that hard.
It's really hard to say.
Oh man, poor MCU fans that have to sit through a 90-minute Venom movie.
Well, I'm just saying it's really hard to say you need to see this because it has MCU connections without spoiling what is happening.
What you say is the end credit scene connects something that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
There's a tip for you how to get people to. I mean, we're really just so you know how this thing's doing out in the real world too. Just talking box office, looks like it just beat out Shang-Chi and Black Widow. Is that right? I think you're right. I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah. I think it was like 90 million or 90, so. Yeah, 90 million domestic so far here as of Tuesday. So it's doing okay box office wise. No simul stream either. This is, Sony's doing the whole thing. All right, that's Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And speaking of Sony, we got a brand new page over at mostlysuperheroes.com. It's mostlysuperheroes.com/Sony. It's our Sony Spider-Man Universe review library, and now there'll be 2 titles in there. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So get over there and check it out, mostlysuperheroes.com/Sony. Reviews, ratings, connections, all that kind of stuff. And that's been this week's edition of The Meat.
That was meaty.
That was chunky. Let's talk about what's coming up. Yeah, that was like a heavy beef stew. But
is that what we're having next week?
Lukewarm. Lukewarm beef stew. That's Venom. Let There Be Carnage. That's
Oh my
that's
God.
a poor review. I don't want to dog on the movie too much, but it was okay. You know, I think it was just lukewarm. But hey, man, we'll always talk about the superhero stuff on this show. Speaking of which, HBO Titans, we'll be talking about that. 3 episodes to go. Find those reviews at mostlysuperheroes.com/DCU. Phase 4 of the MCU happening all the time. What If? 1 to go. We'll talk about episode 9 here on it. Cannot wait to break it down. And we are officially 1 month away from the Eternals as of today.
Even closer by the time you listen to this.
You hear this, you're coming out about almost 3 weeks. All right, you're about 3 weeks out. I can't believe it. And then Hawkeye, our Christmas MCU show starring, got Clint Barton, played by Jeremy Renner. That's coming November 24th. Can't wait. And then Spider-Man No Way Home. We're only a couple months now. And, like, you talk about ramping up a movie. You talk about getting people jazzed for a movie. How long did they sit on that trailer? And then to show the trailer and the characters coming into play from these other franchises. And now you get this end credit scene. I'm not ready.
I'm not either.
I need to keep my expectations in check. Because if I go in, I'm going to go in there and be underwhelmed if I, like, keep ramping this up.
Even before that, though, we have Eternals. I think that's going to be mind-blowing. Hawkeye. So I think it'll be good. But
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be Christmas. And you can find all those at mostlysuperheroes.com/MCU. And Andy, it's time to continue the ramp up.
Here we go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do this. We are stealing a little schedule from our friends over at Phase Zero, comicbook.com podcast, hosted by Brandon Davis. They started a Spider-Man rewatch party to celebrate all the films leading up to Spider-Man No Way Home. We're going to follow suit. First movie up for the next episode. That's right. Pull it out. 2002 Spider-Man starring Tobey Maguire. In my mind, one of the OG superhero films. And I haven't seen it, Andy, in a very long time. I can't wait to talk about it, rate it, talk about the story, relive these moments as we prepare for some kind of entry from this universe to Spider-Man No Way Home. What all will it entail? We don't know. We know certain pieces. We don't know everything. Are you excited?
Yes. But what if it doesn't? What if they're not in there?
That's okay.
I'm just kidding.
Well, hey,
there's no way.
Then boo-hoo, we watched this movie again.
The villains are still in it, so, I mean, whatever.
I'm so excited. I haven't seen this in so long. Like, this Spider-Man, the villain, James Franco.
I watched Far From Home over the weekend.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just accidentally. It was on TV.
You just like kept it going.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not hard. It's not going to hurt you to watch it. I mean, for this podcast.
I'll do it again.
All right, we'll watch Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and then we'll do the Andrew Garfield films as well. Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Does that sound all right?
I can do that, I think.
Yeah, I think we can do that too. So next episode, Spider-Man 2002. I think you either got to watch this on Stars or you're going to have to rent it. But we'll definitely let you know where we watched it. Let us know where you're watching it. If you find it out there on a streaming service, let us know at mostlysuperheroes.com because we want to hear from you. Give us a call on that studio phone, 754-CALL-LOG. Write us in at Facebook, Patreon. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, iHeartRadio, anywhere on the internet that you search Mostly Superheroes, you're most likely going to find us. Another week, Andy. How'd we do?
I think we killed it again.
Just another banger?
I think the fans agree as well.
You think so?
Hopefully they will.
Do you think Harleen Quinzel is...
I am Harleen Quinn.
I am Harleen Quinn on Twitter. You think she approves?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. She'll like this one. I guess it could be a boy, too. I don't know. You never know.
Could be. Or anything in between.
Twitter
outside?
pseudonyms. You never know.
Yeah.
Be anything on the internet.
You know what we don't do on this show? We don't assume.
You're right.
We don't assume a damn thing. Well, it's good to see you, man. Hope you enjoyed your dinner. Hope you enjoyed the Sloppy Joes, the Arby's fries, and we'll get in here next week and do it again.
Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right, man. Have a good week. Listeners, stay safe out there. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for hitting subscribe. Thanks for turning on those alerts so that you know when it's happening. New episodes on Monday, Sunday on Patreon. Get out there and live your coolest lives. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week on Mostly Superheroes. Take it easy.